this video, I'm going to show you how to do set extensions using Photoshop AI. Just make sure your footage was shot on a tripod and you'll be all set. We're going to start by screenshotting a frame off of our source footage and importing it to Photoshop. Make sure it matches your comp's resolution, so I'm just going to crop it up like that. The first thing we're going to do inside of Photoshop is actually select our subject and hit it with a remove prompt. As you can see, that should successfully remove our subject. So we're just going to cycle through different options and pick the best one. I feel like it's either number 2 or 3, but we're probably going to go for number 2 in this example. Now, if the generative fill is not giving you good results, you could always do it manually. Next, you want to merge both layers together, and then we can grab the pen tool and select the area we're going to want to replace with the AI generative fill. Make sure to set it as a selection and hit OK, and as you can see, we can now prompt it with whatever we want. I usually start off by leaving it empty, but if it doesn't give us good results, we can always prompt it with basically whatever we want. As you can see, this looks absolutely terrible, but we basically just gotta go ahead and write different stuff, click generate until we find something that we actually like. Once you found the one that you like, just save it as a PNG and import it into After Effects with your source footage. Just make sure the 2 layers line up perfectly, but what we can do is now select the PNG layer and mask out the same exact way we did in Photoshop, but this time around in After Effects to isolate the portion we actually replaced. As you can see, the background is looking great, but we're having a little issue with our subject, so just go ahead and duplicate the source footage, put it up top, and then we're going to roto out our subject. Just make sure you stay consistent with your rotoscoping if you want to get the best results. Once you're done, as you can see, it is looking great. We have our subject sitting on top of the background, but it still looks a little bit too sharp and digital. And the way we're going to fix that is by adjusting the feather and contrast values of the rotoscope itself. I like to tone down the contrast quite a bit, that way our subject looks a little more blurry. As you can see, this already looks much more cohesive and our subject now blends in with the background perfectly. Next thing I like to address is the background itself, and we're going to make it look more realistic by adding a camera lens blur effect to it. You don't want to go overboard with this, but I like to change the aspect ratio to 0.2 to get that anamorphic look and to crank up the blur radius quite a bit. This is going to simulate depth of field and it's going to make it look a lot more realistic since our background is pretty far away. Next, I like to add a subtle glow, but only to the sky, so we're going to play around with the threshold until it targets only the bright portion of the sky. I'm using deep glow for this example, but you can use the built-in glow and it's going to give you the exact same result. Make sure you turn up the radius quite a bit, but don't go too crazy on the exposure value as we don't want everything to be bloomed out. As you can see, it sort of gives us that pro-mist aesthetic that I really like. It is completely optional, you don't need to do it, but I feel like it adds a little touch of realism. Finally, what I like to do is to create an adjustment layer and blend everything together using grain. There's no specific preset or values here, just go for what you like. Since our entire background is a static image, I also like to add animated overlays to bring up some life and make it feel more animated and realistic. But here's the final result. As you can see, we completely switched the mood of that shot, and the craziest thing is the possibilities are literally endless. You can use any background you'd like. That'll be all for today, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure to let me know which tutorials you want to see next. And if you're trying to level up your edits, check the first link in the description down below where you can find all of my packs and plugins. But on that note, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.